Hello, crypto friends. Too much going on in the markets right now that I just couldn't sit on the sidelines. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I last made a video. I've been working on a lot of projects for you guys. Had to come out of my shell, out of my bat cave to kind of point out a few things in the markets, kind of point out a few situations here. The first one being Ripple, okay? So this is what kind of really caught my attention. Of course, we've all seen this huge pump. A lot of people are taking note of it. It's kind of like the talk of the town right now, aside from like the weed stocks. And over just 2 days, it jumped over 78% now. Okay, so it's almost at 100%. And the reason it's really caught my attention wasn't just because it shot up, but more so for what it represents. There's been a lot of talk that institutional money is already in the markets. They've been slowly accumulating and they've been slowly buying into these low, cheap price actions. I've been trying to kind of put it all together for the past couple of weeks and just kind of get myself together and really look at the picture for what it is. What I've managed to get out of the entire situation is, for one, starting with Ripple, and then we're going to move our way over to like Bitcoin and some of these other altcoins, is that a lot of these coins have hit pretty much rock bottom. You take a look at different sequences, throughout crypto. Like, let's say, for example, this right here would be this first sequence where we have that first initial dump, right? And then we have that little bit of rebound. We would compare that to back here, look at that. It's very, very similar. When you look at this area right here, and you compare it to the second area, you can see that it's got very similar price action. It dumps initially and then it bounces right back up. The second one would probably be this right here, this little sideways consolidation during this time period. Let's make this a different color. Let's say, for example, like yellow. You go over here and same concept. That we have this little dead cat bounce right here, little dead cat bounce, and then some sideways consolidation, and then we continue off into another sell-off. All right, and this puts us right here. So let me make this into like a red color. But you can quickly see how the markets are based on repeating patterns. Okay, that's what technical analysis is. Human emotion tends to think the same way. The mindset going behind this is exactly the same. And so I'm looking at this, comparing the charts, and seeing this big old pump. I'm starting to feel really bullish. I'm starting to think that not only is XRP pumping, but the fact that the rest of the market will pump as well. If you look at the price for XRP at its lowest point, was back in the 20 cents area. Okay, the last time it was around that same price was back in November and December. I remember buying in at 18 cents back then, and I remember selling at 40 cents because it had 2x'd and I made my money. I think that XRP is actually getting ready to really go parabolic here. When you look at the EMAs, yesterday I was really paying attention to this, right? So here on the EMAs, we had 4 sets of resistance lines. So if you guys remember what resistance lines are, they basically means that anytime we try to hit those lines, if it rejects it, meaning if it goes back down, then that means that we have more of a sell-off to continue, right? But you can quickly see we crossed through all 4 of them. So here's the first one that we crossed. Really quickly, we pretty much shredded right through that. The second one would be this one right here. Yeah, we can see right here. The second one would be right here. And we can quickly see how we crossed that one as well. The 140 and the 200 EMA, which are some of the strong resistance lines, and we shredded right through both of them. When you compare that back to even in December, we had shredded above these 2 EMAs, still went below them, consolidated, and still shot right back up to $3. We're like $2.75 or something. Even at this price with Ripple, it could even be a good entry point. I still expect to see a pretty big pullback, probably perhaps like I'm thinking like a 21% drop or something ridiculous, right? Because it's very volatile. But then afterwards, comparing it to back here, that we would shoot up and from there just really continue to skyrocket. On top of that, to also put, to make matters more interesting, just take a look at the MACD, right? The MACD has very, very similar price action as well. You know, very long, extended bear markets, and all it took was this little MACD crossing right here from the previous time to just for us to shoot up. All right, mind you, this isn't a small MACD crossing, guys. Like when it crosses on the weekly, it crosses. Okay, same concept back here. Like the way we had this MACD crossing back here from back in around June or so, you can see how quickly XRP just started to dump. You know, same concept. You know, and you can see right here that we haven't even crossed yet, but yet prices already shot up 73%. So you can imagine when the MACD crosses, we're bound to see some really big moves from XRP. I'm really interested in XRP in this case. It's not so much to shill into XRP, but rather to look at the overall market on itself. All right, so let's make an example of Neo and really compare that to like things like XRP, right? The fact that XRP is pumping right now gives me hope that the overall sentiment in the market right now is starting to change. A lot of people have been talking about how Bitcoin is going back down to $3,000, or that these altcoins are going to continue suffer to go down lower, which in my head, it didn't make sense to me why we would continue to suffer when a lot of things basically have floored, you know, they're at ground level. So a Neo's another good example, like XRP, that's, you know, you take a look back here from back in August and December, and even now, you know, how far we've come, you know, how low we are now, and how we're getting close to this MACD crossing. So let's take a look now at the, you know, the king of all kings, and that is, of course, Bitcoin. Based on my understanding, I mean, this is a wedge right here. You know, it's been consolidating, and a lot of people have been talking about how you know, things are going to go back down to $3,000, which we've already retested the 6,000, 5,800 to 6,400 range several times now. I mean, we just made a close back here at 6,200. You can quickly see how we just shot up. Currently, we're sitting at around 6,700. While it's still a strong possibility that we could drop, the reason I'm not feeling that way, leaning towards that direction anymore, is just looking at the shorts, guys. Like when the overwhelming, and I've talked about this weeks prior, and it still stands to this day. When the overwhelming sentiment in the markets, just look at those shorts. You know, when the overwhelming sentiment in the markets is bearish, then it leads me to believe that we are in the bottom, because people, you know, retail investors are thinking things are going to go lower. Notice when people were shorting back here, look at the amount of shorts back here. Nobody was shorting because Bitcoin is going back up, yet it dumped really heavily right afterwards. It continued to, we had a huge sell-off. But and then again right here, you know, we continue to have a huge short when it was at its lowest peak, or almost at its lowest peak, but yeah, it pumped. So, you know, we've had this really strong short. I mean, it's really been holding here for a long time. Yeah, Bitcoin continues to go up. It leads me to believe that this could be the big blow to the face for a lot of these short sellers. Is this for me to say that you should go in and buy some Bitcoin right now? Of course not. You know, be a smart trader, all right? If you really want to play it safe, here's what you got to do, all right? Draw your little trend line, all right? So take it from its highest candle wicks right here, all four of them. Make sure they're aligned nice and pretty. So let's say right here, because that's where the consolidation phase kind of begins. So let's draw a second one from back in November and kind of just show this little consolidating phase. I mean, it depends. Honestly, the second one doesn't really matter as much, just because I've seen people draw from here to here or whatever. I don't know. It's been all over the place. The support line, to be, my support line is at that 6,000 range, right? The 5,800. Just because we've managed to close above that. Even then, we've had higher highs. Regardless, though, the one you really want to pay attention to is this one right here. The this little trend line from down here. If you really want to play it safe, like I've talked about, your best bet is for us to wait until we have a breakout. So wait for this thing to pop off way above this this trend line, you know, this trend line, and buy on confirmation. All right, if you're not afraid, don't be a weenie. Then just wait to buy in when it's at like $8,000, because at this point I would be as far as to say that we are an official bull run. Okay, that's what you do. And same concept, if we still happen to break down, let's say this is an example, this is all hypothetical, guys. let's say for example we happen to still break down from like around 6,800, then wait out to buy out on the next breakout point, which would be around the 7,200 range. So right around there, buy on confirmation here again on the 7,100 range, and you would be in a really good position. To me, anything under $10,000 is a solid position. Why do I say this? Okay, anytime we've seen breakouts in the past with Bitcoin, it's not so much a little bit of a jump, right? It's not going to be, I don't see it's retracing back to 20,000. At this point, you can start calling your shots and say that, hey, things are going to go back up to 40,000, 50,000, even like as far as like, I would say even as far as 100,000. It's crazy for me to talk like this, right? Because we've been in such a huge bear market. But when you really look at things from an overview standpoint, like I talked about, here's the Fibonacci retracement. You can see at its highest peak, that's around 65,000 range. It's ridiculous, talking these kind of numbers. Let's pull up this picture that I have right here. This is the linear regression line for Bitcoin. Okay, this to me is very important, and I don't understand why a lot of people in the space aren't talking about it or don't necessarily talk about it. Clearly we can see we're right here, right? The last bear market, like I said, guys, when I came into this market, we were just coming out of the last recession. So around this area, right? I got into the midst of like the highest bull run. We were just breaking even around this area. Notice how we were just breaking even from its last highs of like $1,000 roughly. But when you look at the overwhelming, long-term, the longevity pictures, you got to understand markets are extended, all right? They extend pretty, as time passes, they tend to extend a lot more. That's why we have what's known as the linear regression line, right? We start to see this little curve right here. If you guys pay attention to statistics, things don't just go in a straight line, and don't go straight up or don't go straight sideways. We start to see this little regression line, especially over time. We are barely right here, right, in this little section. So to me, when I look at the linear regression line, look how much we still have left. Do you guys really believe that we're going to dump below here, see all this consolidating phase right here, and continue to go down, and then finally shoot up right here, like kind of like what's showing right here? I don't believe so. I don't think so. In fact, what I'm trying to get at is that I don't believe we're even at the bear market, the one that we are all thinking about, the one that Tony Bays is talking about, the one that's all your favorite technical analysis people are talking about. Yes, we've seen a lot of down momentum, but it's from the altcoin markets. If you would have invested only a month prior to December or to November or so, around when it was $3,000, you still would have been at a 2x right now. You would still be at a really good price action. So a lot of us are feeling the pain, not so much because of Bitcoin, but because of the altcoin markets. And you can see that even during the midst of the bull markets, a lot of these altcoins had already suffered prior. I think that Bitcoin is consolidating and getting ready, really getting ready for a second pump here. That's long to come, and probably the biggest one that we're going to see in a very, very long time. And then from here, this is where I would probably say we're going to see that long extended bear market, from here, because at this point you can clearly see we're starting to curve up in the linear regression line. And the last time we were doing that was back here. And notice how this is where we start to tip below and start to see when we were back down to like around $200. And then once we start seeing the regression line kind of pull up again, that's when things started kind of started really to retrace. Okay, look, I know this might sound all crazy to think that we are yet to see a really big pump, but I mean, the linear regression line tells us that there's so much leg room left between this time period that it doesn't make sense for us to be in a bear market for the rest of the remainder of the time. In fact, if I were to go back again, like I said, cryptocurrency is based on repeating patterns. I would go as far as to say that we're barely right here in this little past bull market. If you go up from its highest peak down to its lowest peak, we had dropped all the way as far as about 80% regression, an 80%. And like I said, markets only are more extended as time goes on because there's more liquidity, more volume. We have seen this nice ascending wedge for a very long time. And anytime I see a good consolidated pattern like this, it just means that one, we're just tightening up, getting ready for another explosion. So I'm really excited what's to come here. Looking at everything, I've just been paying attention from the sidelines for a while now, and so just let me know, guys, what you guys think. Do you guys believe that this is the pumps in the markets, the expected markets that we have yet to see? I mean, it's still pumping right now. Look at this, guys. It's still pumping. We're already back to April prices. It's getting close. Like, oh gosh, look at those wicks. That's so high. The MACD is about to cross. So yeah, let's enjoy it. Just let me know, guys. Comment below what you guys think. I'm really getting excited here. I'm really getting excited. I think it's going to be alt season. It's going to be crypto season, I guess you could say. If you play it right, play your cards right, I think you can really maximize your potentials here. Like I said, things are floored. So your risk to reward is really minimal. I don't think you would lose so much as far as you would gain from this position from here. So really enjoy it, guys, and let me know what you guys think. All right, are you guys going to set us a few positions to some alts? You guys going to buy some Bitcoin? Let me know, comment below if you guys agree or disagree. With that being said, hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you on the next one.